Happening now, Squid Game The Challenge is now airing on Netflix, and Brittany O'Neill, who is actually from Pocahontas, is a challenger who is actually in the game show, and she's joining us this morning. Brittany, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Macy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so Brittany, let's just start by telling me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and being from Pocahontas. That's pretty cool.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I grew up in Pocahontas and lived pretty much my whole, obviously, teen and then young adult life there. And then I moved off to the big city of Dallas and kind of just lived everywhere since then. Um, I used to do a bunch of promotional modeling and then kind of merged into nursing, became a registered nurse and now a travel nurse.
Wow, that is so awesome. But it does have me wondering, how in the world did you get involved in this Squid Game The Challenge show?
Well, like probably hundreds of thousands of other people, I saw the casting call for the show. So I filmed an audition tape and I sent it into Netflix and just kind of crossed my fingers that I would hear something. And I was fortunate that I heard back. However, the casting process is so lengthy. I believe it took maybe about 4 months of casting before you actually know whether or not you're going to be on the show. Just a really large vetting process, psychiatric evaluations. Um, I think like a 2 to 3 level background check where they go through your
Oh,
whole
wow.
life.
So the psych evaluations too, you mentioned that you had to go through after going through the series and after filming. Do you think that those were necessary? It seems like it was very psychologically challenging.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I think it was necessary because the things that you go through in there, number one, it's not a normal environment. You're not used to being indoors, and it wasn't a fully immersive situation. We get woken up by this, squid music, like, things like that. And you never know what time you're going to get up. You don't know how much sleep you're going to get and when the next challenge is going to be or if you're going to be eliminated. So, it's just always an on-edge situation. And of course, not everyone can handle, stressful situations and being out of their own element. Um, I think that was super huge for me, and I think for a lot of other people.
And so, what would you say is the most challenging part of having to film something like this?
I think the most challenging part, just of filming itself for me, was, you're not allowed to have your phone or any social media, so you can't speak with family or anything like that for an extended amount of time. Probably the no getting any sleep was kind of hard also, just because there's so many lights on. It's like millions of lights, and you're sleeping next to all of these people.
So, what was the most rewarding part of this journey filming?
I think for me, the most rewarding part, honestly, was my castmates. And we became really close really quickly just because, you don't have the social media, you don't have your phone, you don't have, anything to do other than, talk and confide in each other. And I think we all had a bunch of like really deep talks.
That's good. That is great. And, something I was thinking is in the original Squid Game, people, if they lost these games, they would die. They would get killed in these games. But in Squid Game, the challenge, you're eliminated from the competition. But are you allowed to talk about what exactly that looks like? How do they show that you're eliminated in the show?
Yeah, sure. So we had squid dye packs that would explode on our chests if we got eliminated. So I know in one scene you'll see on Netflix, the guy in front of me, he gets eliminated in red light, green light, which is one of the first challenges and one of the absolute hardest. And if I were to have reacted to his squid pack going off because it's very loud and it's just scary. Then I would, if I had just even flinched the tiniest, I would have been also eliminated.
And I watched part of the show, and when those packs go off, I mean, it's almost like a gunshot. I mean, I can only imagine how it must have been for you guys to be there and be around something like that. It really is frightening.
Honestly, yeah, it was really scary. The sound of it is scary, and just to hear, you would just hear like around you, like pop, 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 one after another,
Wow.
and people were, especially in the first game. I don't know if you've seen, but think 60% of the cast was eliminated at the first game, over 268 players.
So, a whole lot of players. How do you feel about your performance overall?
Honestly, I feel really great about it. I did really good in red light, green light. I was, I think, probably in the first 50 people out of 450 to get over the line. And in the next challenge, have some regrets there just because I unfortunately, that was the Dolgana challenge and that's the cookie cutting challenge. And I had actually been at the front of the line of the second line, which ended up being the triangle shape, which is the easiest shape. It's supposed to have like a 90% success rate, I believe, something similar. And I left that line, but instead I switched to the umbrella, which ended up being very unfortunate for me.
Oh no. See, that is tough. That's just part of the game, like the psychological not knowing what to do and so I know that that must be a really hard part of it. But I'm sure your family back in Pocahontas and all your friends, I'm sure they're super excited about this. How are they feeling about being able to see you on TV?
Yeah, so they're of course really excited, and I think it's, kind of a big deal to see someone that, they're friends with or even they went to school with just because, Pocahontas is super tiny, not much going on there. So I think it's pretty exciting.
That is pretty exciting. And people can watch you on Netflix right now. Is that right?
Yes, so all the episodes now are out except the finale, which will be airing on December 6th.
Okay. That is so exciting. Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for joining us this morning. And we will have more Good Morning Region 8 coming up in just a few minutes.